Count money, man. Stack riches. Try and told him I'm a beast, bud.
What's up, gang? Welcome to the Grindcast. Simon Arias here. Get ready, it's a new day. What's up, gang? Welcome to another episode of the Grindcast. Get ready, it's a new day. And we got the man, the myth, the legend in the house, my dog, brother Isaac Greeley, representing the Mat Factory, and is just a brother in Christ and helps so many people in the Pittsburgh area and outside of Pittsburgh area. Welcome to the Grindcast studio, my dog.
Oh, pleasure to be here. Honored. So
Isaac, many of you in the area know Isaac, but for those of you that are outside of the Pittsburgh area and don't know Isaac was an All-American wrestler, national finalist, team, I think, was national champ. You were at Pitt Johnstown,
yep,
right? In college 2 times? 2 times. Beautiful. And then Pan Am champ in Jiu Jitsu, black belt beast in Jiu Jitsu. And, I'm a brown belt in Jiu Jitsu, and there's levels, to everything. And he's such a high level black belt. Like black belt, there should be another level. He would be that color, whatever the color is. He makes me feel like a white belt. But I know your passion, in addition to being on the mats, is also, I feel like you even have more fun coaching, young folks and even grown men. And so coaching, I know you've coached multiple state champions, also national champions, multiple UFC fighters, multiple Bellator fighters, and you've been coaching at Barrel, right? Is it Barrel or
Burl?
Barrel for 18?
Yes.
18 years, and I think, 15 consecutive section Whippeal titles, and a bunch of people have come out of there and went on to do big things. I know you've had Olympic wrestlers and stuff that you've coached and all of that stuff. So where did all of this start? Give me a little background of your upbringing and history and kind of how we got to this point today.
I'd say that I grew up in a small town in probably the most rural part of Pennsylvania, near Potter County, McKean County. And just great people up there, honest, hardworking, blue-collar upbringing. My parents worked shift work in a glass factory in the town. I had 5 brothers and sisters. I was one of 5, so we didn't have a lot of time to spend on athletics and extracurricular activities. So I remember asking my mom when I was 9 if I could wrestle, and she said, "Sure, if you can get a ride home, that'd be great." So luckily, one of my neighbors.
What made you want to wrestle?
They brought trophies into the auditorium for a thing, and I was like, "What's that?" And they said, "This is what you get when you win."
So you want a trophy?
I want one of those.
All right.
So that got my interest sparked, and luckily, one of my neighbors, when I mean a neighbor, it's like half a mile away where I grew up,
right?
Was a junior high wrestling coach, so I started going to the practices and staying for his practices, and that's how I got started with wrestling. But just grew up in a great community. I love my hometown. I still have my wrestling camp that I do every year back in my hometown. It's a special place.
Is that the nonprofit?
Yeah.
Thing?
Yep,
so you got the nonprofit wrestling camp back in your hometown?
Yes.
And what's the name of that?
It's a Bruno Irafito Scholarship Wrestling Camp.
Okay.
Team Bruno is our nickname for short.
Where'd you come up with the Team Bruno thing?
So Bruno was another small town kid, Ridgeway, Pennsylvania. It's a small community not far from where I was. I knew Bruno since he was a little kid. He grew up very successful wrestler. He was wrestling at UPJ. It's kind of like under my wing. I was like one of his uncles, so to speak. And he was an All-American his junior year, going into his senior year. Clean living kid, religious, just perfect kid. And he was really wrestling unbelievable. And him and I had a goal for him to be a national champion. And that summer, he was involved in an auto accident that he lost his life. And he had always volunteered to work my wrestling camps that we started in '96. So I think it was 15, 16 years ago, we decided to, once that happened, 2002, we
kind of name it in his honor.
Switched it to the Team Bruno Wrestling Camp, made it into a nonprofit.
Love it.
And we've had a lot of fun with it.
Love it. Now, what's amazing is you're a chiropractor by trade, right?
Yes.
So you're a doctor.
Yeah.
Technically,
yes.
right? You're a doctor on and off the mat. So it's cool because it's, my setup, I had an opportunity to walk you through, the top floor here, and I got the mat room, right next door, which was like a dream you know, for me, you know, when I was thinking of owning, I rented space forever. And then when we bought this building and I said, man, just one thing that I want for myself is I want to have something upstairs that I can train in, you know, in the morning. So what's cool is, seems like you had a similar, you know, thing. You got the chiropractic business next door with amazing people that work over there. And then right next door to that is the mat factory and stuff. Right. And it seems like you're kind of more on the mat side. You know, it looks like you put a ton of hours and a ton of work into people on that side of things too.
I mean, that's why you and I get along so well, I think, because I like to intertwine my passions. And I had I coached at Burrell, started 2003, 2004, and we had a couple offices that weren't around the area, so I decided to move an office there and start up a wrestling club. Great decision. I worked with one of my best friends, Chris Como, who was the head coach back then, and we kind of passed the reins on to Josh Shields, one of our former wrestlers who's a national champion at Mercyhurst. Yep. And he's done an amazing job, and we've been kind of his right-hand men ever since. And we have the wrestling club, which we bring in a lot of local kids to, help out as well. And so it's just been a win-win, and I get to get done with work on a Tuesday, and I take my work shoes off, I put on my wrestling shoes, and I couldn't be happier.
Love it. Love it. Now, how many state champions and national champions and so we covered the section titles, but how many state champs and national champions have you coached?
At Burrell, we just had our 10th national or state champion this year. AJ Corrado won in overtime with the pancake.
Love it.
And we've been blessed with this year we graduating 2 seniors that are going to Brown, both of them Ivy League kids. Ian Oswalt, and who's a 2-time state runner-up, and AJ was a state runner-up last year, state champion this year. We've been really lucky to have kids like that all the way through. It starts with our youth program. And it instills a passion into the kids because they see how passionate the parents are and the community is. And we're going on 15 in a row this year, and we've won 17 total and 16 since I started.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's been a lot of success, but the one thing with success that with us that we've learned, that we don't shoot our goals aren't there. We always set them for the state championship, top 4 in the state every year is our goal.
So shooting the goals higher.
We always shoot our goals higher, and
yeah, let's stay there. How do you think that happens to have 15 in a row WPIAL championship? How does something like that even happen? Does it start in the culture? Where does that start?
Well, it really starts with relationships. Without the relationships, there's no culture, and it's the relationships with the community, with the parents, with the administration, with the kids, with the coaches. It's something that we learned at UPJ under our wrestling coach, Pat Pecora, was you can make it a family first. Once you make it a family, all the success will come to you. So we make it a family thing, and we all have each other's backs. If something bad happens, we're there to help. If something good happens, we're there to praise. So it's a balance, and it's basically all about developing those type of relationships and following through with them too. After they leave, we're still close with those kids. I see them become good men, graduate college, go out into the workforce, become good fathers. So that's what we're really trying to promote. The success is just
how many national champs have you coached?
National champs, probably 4 or 5 since we started. Josh being one of them. Cody Law, national champ. A lot of those guys I kind of coached.
Was Cody at UPJ?
Yeah,
too.
Penn State UPJ guy.
Okay.
Nico Megaludis was one of the first kids I ever coached when he was about 8 years old. He's national champ for Penn State. Still comes in the Mat Factory every week. Love having him in there. And Jason Nolf obviously was the big one that we got to see grow up from 8th grade all the way up through still wrestling today, trying for Olympic spot.
Love it. So, yeah. That's crazy. Now, how did you get into jiu-jitsu from the wrestling thing? What I love about your place is it's like this hybrid of wrestling, jiu-jitsu that you don't see all over the place, but it's probably the most applicable, that I've seen for actual combat in things. So
our philosophy is wrestling is the king. As far as like positionally and controlling where the fight is, the matches, but jiu-jitsu is just an endless supply of knowledge. It's never you never stop learning in jiu-jitsu. I've been doing it for 18 years now.
How'd you get into it?
I got into it. I graduated chiropractic school.
Okay.
I moved down here, and I took a job with one of my roommates in chiropractic school. Was down here working for one of our friends, Ralph Petrarca. So my partner, eventually partners Jason Jacobs and Ralph Petrarca, lured me down here. So I took a job as an associate doctor, and then I started coaching with Chris Como. He actually went to UPJ. He's about 5 years older than me, but he was one of my uncles. And he asked me if I wanted to coach with him at Burrow. I said, yeah, for sure. So I started coaching with him, and then he was actually doing jiu-jitsu on the side. So him and I in the summers would go do jiu-jitsu 2-3 days a week, and I'm like, what? This is crazy. This is like nothing I've ever seen. And I just fell in love with it right from the beginning. He kind of phased out of it with family and everything, and I just kind of took off with it. And yeah, I've been doing it almost every day since.
18, 19-year journey. And so any tips that you have on, speeding up the progress of somebody that, you can't rush the process.
Yeah.
You got to put in the work. But is there any tips you would have on how somebody could progress their game a little bit quicker?
Well, I think that it's just, you got to love it and not care about that. You have to basically, look at it like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, and that'll all come. You can see the black belt in people like yourself that they love it. They want to learn. They're constantly wanting to learn. It's already happened, as far as I'm concerned. The problem is most people.
So just trust the process.
Trust the process and fall in love with it. That's it. If you start asking, like, when am I going to get this? I need to do this. It's good to get that, obviously, as your white belt, blue belt, purple belt. But from that point on, I think it's just, you just got to bide your time and be around the right people. And I think that's the biggest thing. And do what you do a lot, too. I like seeking out other people, other gyms, other people, other information. Getting that different feel. I mean, that's a big part of the journey as well. Something I did a lot of, and I'm really glad that I did, for sure.
Out of, I don't know if you have these, I'm sure you're not checking these statistics, but, out of all, I know just in my journey, the people that I started with, if I look back to even just old pictures and packed gyms, where I was, there was 40 of us, or graduation or something like that. And I look back and how many of those folks actually ended up being black belts. There's a few, and it's cool to see people that you started with, and neither one of you knew nothing. And I watch these people; they're now black belts, and and all of that stuff. But how many people would you say out of 1,000 or out of 100, that start, that say I'm going to come in and test this out and do this? How many do you think end up? Being a black belt from there, a legit black belt?
I mean, statistically, it's about 1 in 300 that start it.
Okay, is that the number?
Yeah.
1 in 300?
1 in 2 to 300 is if you,
okay.
I think that's probably pretty accurate.
Okay.
A lot of that is most people get to a certain level and they'll still have adversity. That's the biggest killer in jiu-jitsu. Injuries, family, different job. I mean, it's excuses that you can kind of, see filter in through. And you start to see that happening. And it's all understandable. I mean, jiu-jitsu black belts aren't for every single person, trust me. But the people that stick with it, it carries with them for the rest of their life. And then once they get a black belt, I mean, you're still always going to be a white belt. But what I'll say is, like, you're going to want to help people forever. You're going to want to be involved in the sport forever at that point because it's in your blood.
I seen a quote said, all a black belt is a white belt that never quit. Just never gave up. We're same thing, white belt. We just never, never quit. And so those, you think the thing that separates is just handling adversity. I mean, and not buying the excuses that pop up, which, they say the best excuses or the best lies are the ones that are wrapped in a little bit of truth. Yep. You could buy it, almost. It makes some sense, to buy some of these, these excuses, but you think the biggest one is just not buying the mental excuses as this comes up and continuing to push and getting over those adversities and obstacles. Yeah,
it's something that, we teach in wrestling a lot. We call it the excuse bag. So you get an excuse, you got to put it in your excuse bag. And at the end of the year, you got to empty that excuse bag out no matter what. And if you have a big bunch of excuses coming out from that year, pretty sure you say your goals, it's gonna affect that. So same thing with jiu-jitsu. If your goal is to be a black belt, you find those excuses, it's going to basically make it a lot longer process for you. But, my friends that are black belts, some of the closest friends that I have, I've seen the adversity they've went through. I know the adversity I went through to get there. and I just see that perseverance. It's the same thing. It's like, if I get hurt, I'm going to work around it. If I can't make it to the gym, I'm going to study.
Rehab and come back.
I'm going to study this. I'm going to, nowadays you can study film like no other. So I think that's a big bonus nowadays.
The technology,
and also getting with the right people and being consistent with growth is also huge. I still have my coaches that I look to that, when I see my weaknesses.
Who gave you your black belt?
I got a black belt under Eddie Vincent, local guy in Pittsburgh, and I've since been striped by 2 stripes by Baga Rodrigo Ramos, who's my jiu-jitsu instructor now. He's one of the founders of American Top Team. He's really helped me a ton.
Got you. Now, 43 years young.
44, but
44.
45 in May.
44 years young, 45 in May, so that's right around the corner here, and still out here rolling and wrestling around in sprints and all this other cartwheels and everything else going on out here. What tips would you have, as people age, to be able to continue to perform at that level and stay in that type of shape?
I really think that staying in the grind is the best. Once you get yourself there, just try to stay there. I have people that inspire me. I train 60-year-old guys that are inspirational to me. I can't believe they can do what they do. And I think it's just consistency with your diet, with your exercise, and the people that you're around. Obviously, is a big part of that. There's going to be days you don't feel like doing it, but when you have those guys that are pushing you, I think that's a big part of it as well. Any
recovery stuff, or how many you're training every day? Yeah. Almost every day.
Yeah, I train 6 days a week on average, but a lot of those days are 2 a days too, and I personally enjoy it. That's what I look for. It's my type of therapy. It's my mental therapy. It's my physical therapy. But most people would need a lot of physical therapy to do 6 days a week at 45 years old. So what's the secret? Don't be holding out on us. The secret for me is it the chest hair? I definitely got that. That's coming off pretty soon too. I think that it's my job basically. I've been blessed. I made a decision when I was in college that I really liked the chiropractic lifestyle. That was what drew me to it. Kind of drew me away from the medical model, more to the chiropractic. Just the healthy living, everything that went along with it, the diet, the innate, taking care of yourself. What things diet wise would you suggest? I just try to eat healthy multiple times a day. Water is one of the biggest things that I do. A lot of water, a lot of hydration. A lot of water. I don't take a lot of supplements. Personally, but I do a little bit here and there, just for my natural immune system health. But I think just living that lifestyle. I live a chiropractic lifestyle. I get adjusted. I get massaged multiple times a week. I have adjustments and massages. Yeah, huge. Anytime I have anything, I pay attention to it. I'm on top of it. Next day, luckily, I'm in my office, and I have other doctors around me. My wife's a doctor. She's a chiropractor. I didn't know that. Yeah, okay. My wife's a chiropractor. She works on me at home. My partners work on me. Associate doctors work on me. I go to another chiropractor that's a friend of mine, usually every week or two. And I have really, really, really good massage therapists that work with us. So I have access to that pretty much on a daily. So that helps me personally. Yeah. I've learned that if I just ignore injuries, that's not the answer. It usually will break down somewhere else. So I've learned that the hard way. But yeah, I've been really lucky health wise. But I think keeping the wheels greased too. I think, wrestling daily, grappling daily, working out hard, trying to max my heart rate out weekly. I think that's a big part of it too. Just keeping it going. Yeah. So a lot of times in life you'll hear, I came to a fork in the road, and I could have went this way or could have went that way. We've talked about it, at the Bible study and stuff that you do. On Wednesdays before we train, there's a Bible study there, and we have a chance to have some of these conversations, and we talk about how, a lot of times you see kids, and we want it for everybody. You kind of see that fork in the road for them. Is there any moments of your life you could look back and think, whether it was an injury or personal, anything you could look back on after coming off of a loss or a setback or, mentally, anything that you could remember that you could look at, man, I didn't realize it maybe at the time, but this was a fork in the road for me? Yeah, I have a group that I belong to called Reveal Your Path. It's I've been in about 5 years now, but the biggest thing that we go off of is success through failure. You succeed through failure. You know, when you win, do you really get better? Maybe a little bit, but failure's the big breeding ground for success. And, you know, I can point out many times in my life where I failed, and looking back on it, how much it's helped me. Not just failing, messing up as a kid, learning hard lessons, but you have to act upon it. You have to have action items. You have to, you know, make a conscious decision to make it better. So, you know, for me, my college athletic career, I mean, just for an example, I was recruited. I wasn't supposed to start going into my sophomore year. Our wrestling coach had recruited a very highly recruited kid, scholarship kid. I was a partial scholarship kid. I remember, like, I had to let him know that I'm going to make this decision that I'm going to step up. So I remember going up to his office. I had to talk, you know, got a meeting. And I looked him in the eye and said, I'm going to be your boy. I'm going to make this is going to happen. Like, I feel bad that you just wasted that
scholarship.
Spot, that scholarship. He's like, I'm rooting for you. Good luck. And I just remember going back every day. I remember him saying that I wrote it down, and I just kept remembering it. And I just worked hard all summer, came back, got the starting spot, worked my butt off that year. I thought I did. I got to the national tournament. I was seeded 4th, and I got to the quarterfinals, and I lost, and it just crushed me. And got to the blood round, where it's the round where you're an All-American or you're not. Lost that match too. So I was devastated, and I thought I did everything right. I ate right. I didn't drink. I didn't do anything. I was working out. I was doing extra workouts, but it just really went to the core of my, you know, I said I did everything right. For the first time in my life, I gave it everything I had, and it didn't work out. And then I remember going back and, like, nothing's guaranteed. So the next year I came back and I'm like, I'm going to be a national champion. I'm not going to be an All-American. I'm going to be a national champion. I'm going to give it everything I have, and then some. And then luckily I was around teammates that were, you know, pushing me, and we had a family thing, and I got really lucky with the teammates that I had, the influences that I had. So when it came back the next year, I took second. I lost in a really tight match in overtime, but I was more satisfied, happy with myself from that growth that I had, that I'm like, hey, you know, there are levels to this. There's levels to adversity. There's levels to, you know, hard work. There's levels to everything. So I learned that lesson, and that really helped me with everything from life on that point on. I feel like as a 21-year-old kid, from there on, I kind of got life a little bit better from that, going through that failure. So that's my success through failure kind of moment. And I can name that for a lot of my teammates and kids I've coached, and I've seen it even in business as well.
Yep. There's that fork in the road for sure. Who would you say would be the 3 most influential people on your life, and why? It's probably hard to condense it down to 3 because you have so many great relationships, you know, with people, but anybody stand out and kind of why? I
mean, my parents, obviously, they never pushed me into anything. They just kind of let me, you know, find my way, which looking back on it, I was very thankful for that. I feel like I got pushed with it. I don't think I would have been as successful as I was. But it also taught me how to be a coach, you know, like not push kids. Use the kids that are passionate and use that. But the kids that aren't, you know, you got to guide them differently. So I learned that as well. And the biggest influence, you know, coaching-wise and just in life in general, besides that, was my wrestling coach in college. Obviously, I had many coaches. My high school coach was awesome. But my college wrestling coach really taught me how to be a man, and he had a lot of tough love on us. He used to call it, but he wasn't afraid to, you know, to call us out on stuff either, our BS. And you know, I wasn't used to that. I like that. And he also taught me everyone's different. You push buttons differently. Like, this guy may need a slap in the butt. This guy might need a little praise, a little bit of mental coaching. This guy might need something else. So I learned that from him
through watching.
Yeah.
Through watching.
Yep, I saw him do that with all of us. I'm like, why does he yell at him but not him, and he does this with me? And then after I started coaching myself, I'm like, oh, I see. You know, I talked to him about it. Have pretty good relationship still. So he's like, yeah, you have to treat every single person like a, you know, different seed, and you have to water it differently. So I learned that, and I think that really helped me with you know, deciding who was going to be in my circle, with people I wanted to be around, and in my growth as well. So I think that was a big lesson. So those 2 particular stand out. Obviously, a lot of my teammates. I can go back to my roommate. Made me, like I told you before, he made me. You know, after wrestling it over, we'd go out, but he'd make sure that I was up at 8 a.m. to go to church every morning. That was our deal. And he had a huge influence on me living with him. Yeah. Troy,
what's his name?
Troy Barbush.
Troy.
He was 4-time All-American, national champion, state champion in high school. He's done amazing things outside of wrestling.
Where's he at now?
Arizona. he was a huge influence on me. He kept me in a straight line. Without that, wouldn't have made it. And
you talk about making an impact. I mean, you look at the people that I've just in the small amount of time I've been around you, to watch the impact that you've had on people's spiritual journey in that same coaching style that you just talked about of not forcing anybody into it, not judging anybody, or but the ones that want it, you're kind of really, really making an impact, on those people, and people really admire you and look up to you because of how good you are at the game, but then how you treat folks and treat people, and really you look at that seed being planted from this your roommate on how many other people's lives that are now impacted that otherwise would have never been touched. If it wasn't for that. That's huge, man. That's huge. Talk to me about the grind. What people don't see when they see how good that you are, on the mats. What do people not see, kind of behind the scenes? You got the grind, the shirt on.
My man Jermaine.
What we were talking today about it, on how good that you are, and what sticks out that maybe people don't see?
I mean, the biggest thing for me has been balancing, my spirituality, my family life, my work life, and my, my coaching and my wrestling and my competing. It's just a daily thing that you constantly have to be, we're just looking at your goals, your yearly goals. It's something I make action items daily. Like I have to get this done, this done, this done. But I always make it important with what my core values are. I want to be a family man. I want to be, help other people. I also want to be successful in my business. I want to be successful with my family, with my friends. So I think with that, it's like setting my core values, knowing where they are, what the importance is with them, and putting that kind of energy into each core value. I learned that a long time ago, and it's really helped me kind of like daily, doing the action items and writing goals down. Is really daily
action items. Writing those things down.
Yep, daily action items. Just writing them on a piece of paper. Write them in your phone. And do you fail all the time? Yeah, you miss stuff all the time, but it keeps you accountable, and you'd be surprised how much it can help you just doing those little things like that. Obviously, my most successful friends do that, so I think that's a big secret.
Writing down those daily action items.
Yep.
What does the word sacrifice mean to you?
Sacrifice means, doing what's not the easy thing's always right there. It's doing what's not the hard thing. So, sacrifice is going to help you become successful a lot quicker, obviously. I've learned that, through wrestling first, but, it's carried over into every aspect of my life. So, it depends on what's important to you. The way I look at an athlete is, are they a square, or are they a triangle, or are they a straight line? This is my I didn't make this up. This is actually a boxing coach.
Without getting into it, I think I would not want to be the square. I don't know if that's the good one or not. But let's break that down.
So there's a boxing coach. His name is Bruce. I think it's Bashington or something like that.
Square, triangle.
Yeah, he talks
straight
about
line.
it. Yeah. So the square has four things that are important to him: going out, family, work, and whatever else, right? So that person's going to be fairly successful. As a coach, I don't want to waste a whole lot of energy on that type of person, though, because I know that their potential is going to be hard to reach.
Because they're trying to do so many different
too many things, and they're really not putting that effort into to their craft.
Yep.
So we see an athlete that's a triangle, and that's someone that we like because they have a family life, they have a social life, and they have their sport or whatever. So I like those athletes because I know that we can kind of like direct them, and they may reach some pretty good goals and they'd be pretty successful. But then we get the Jason Nolfs and the Nico Megaloudis, the Dalton Rostas, the Cody Laws that are straight line.
Obsessed.
They're obsessed. They have their family or home life, and they have the gym. And that's it. That's all they just do this. And that's where the true, special world champions are bred. That's my job to recognize that and to help feed that. So
you got to be obsessed.
Got to be obsessed
to be great. It's a word that you hear. You got to keep it under control.
Yeah.
Because I think people can get hurt that way. But I don't know if I've seen a lot of people, in the Olympics or master anything that wasn't, described as obsessed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I would describe those folks. I would describe you as obsessed, and you're a dad and you're a husband, and you got a business and you're a mentor and you got the Bruno camp and all of that stuff. But I would say that you're close to obsessed with.
I think I was at one point, with goals and putting everything into it. I think I've learned now, like I kind of kept that kind of mentality too long.
Yeah.
But now I'm kind of, like, hey, listen, I can do this, and this. I can, I'm at a point in my life where I can, enjoy things. I'm really glad I did that because it taught me a lot, taught me how to live right, how to be a good man, good person, good husband. But, I can obviously relax a little bit now and sit back. That's why I really enjoy the coaching aspect of it now, because I can see the potential. I can see a little bit of what I was going through in these guys, and I can see where they can go with it. That's what gets me excited. That's where my real true passion is. That's why I love wrestling, I love MMA, I love Jiu Jitsu, because you can see those like guys like yourself. Like I can see the potential in you, and it's just getting you there. So
appreciate it, man. Now the how could people that are listening now follow you on social media, or people that would kind of want to see where you're at? So we got the Mat Factory, and that's in Leechburg, Lower Burrell.
Yeah.
I think it comes up maybe Leechburg in the navigation, maybe not.
It might.
But their Instagram.
Yeah, just under
Instagram.
The Mat Factory. That's my personal Instagram.
The Mat Factory.
Mat Factory Wrestling Club on Instagram, and that's about it. Facebook a little bit. I have a Mat Factory page on there, and I have a personal.
Is it under Mat Factory?
Mat Factory.
The Mat Factory.
The Mat Factory
on Facebook.
Yep.
Any spaces?
Nope, just the Mat Factory.
Straight up, straight line.
Yep.
Bam.
Yep.
Okay.
So, I mean, we have a small gym, but I love it because I grew up in a small gym, and our wrestling coaches tell us is the room big enough for you? Are you big enough for the room? I love that. I've been tempted to go out and build a big gym and do it all big up, but I'm really glad I haven't. I like those little small spaces.
Feels good.
Feels good to get in there.
Feels right.
Yeah.
They say a church alive is worth the drive.
That's right. Yeah.
And I've been making that drive, and people come from all over the place, just to go to the Mat Factory because of the culture that you've built and the amount of success that you've had helping people on their journey through the Mat Factory. It's almost become a necessary stop for people if they really want to go to the next level, man. And you could feel your spirit in that place. You could feel the culture through you of what you've built, that family atmosphere and the way people treat each other, and then the intensity, that's going on. You could feel your passion. The intensity is just different. I mean, when you get in that room and you're training people, man, it's like you could tell that people are ready to get better because you're challenging them, you're pushing them. The intensity level is there, and I know I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, personally, I think like attracts like. That's why I got guys like Dom and Dempsey, and other great coaches around us, because that intensity attracts the same type of intensity. So. We're not for everyone, obviously, but the guys that do, the girls and guys that do come to us, we try to put everything we can into them to see where they can go with it. So,
no doubt. Well, I appreciate you joining us here today in the Grindcast studios, man. And so Isaac, you the man. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Grindcast. Get ready, it's a new day.
Count money, man. Stack riches. Try and told him I'm a beast blood.